And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25, where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletic representative for St. Mary's, along with my co-host, Donnie Netto. Donnie is the sports information director, and today our focus is on men's soccer. So we've got Corbin with us, Corbin Bowers here on the program, the head coach for the men's soccer team. A little bit later on in the show, we'll have one of his senior players, Robbie Sobczak, joining us. So Corbin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Year 3 already, yes. Right? You're kind of getting used to this head coaching gig, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what do you think now that you're in year 3? A little more comfort, right? A little more ownership of the program, right?
Yeah, I think we've been able to put our full spin on it and put what I wanted out of the program and really transform it into what I think a college soccer program should look like. Our culture is much better. Our style of soccer is pretty significantly changed, and we see a big difference in how we play, and I think guys come in and know what we do now, and that's been great to see that. And I think year 3 has been awesome to finally get to that point where I feel like everybody's comfortable with the new system.
Now, I know we've kind of talked with you a little bit about this before, but you were an assistant coach at St. Mary's before taking over the head coaching reins. That doesn't happen for every head coach. Do you think just some basic familiarity with the program really helped you hit the ground running a few years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Coach Watkins did a good job of prepping me to take over as a head coach, knowing that he was going to retire, and allowed me maybe to take on more responsibilities that your typical assistant would. And so I felt really comfortable with the guys and prepared to take the team in a new direction.
From a personal level, what's been the biggest change or the biggest thing that you've grown from year 1 to now year 3?
Sure, I think the man management and the expectations have significantly changed, and being able to hold our guys to a higher standard each year as I grow more comfortable and see that standard of year 1, we surpassed it, we did well, we can raise the standard, and now in year 3 we're able to raise it even more. I think knowing that our guys can grow out of their comfort zone and be held to a higher standard has been great.
You know, one of the things I've noticed, especially this year, and I'm looking forward to talking to Robbie about it too, is the expectations have completely just grown exponentially as you step on the field. You guys are expecting to win every game rather than just kind of sometimes in the past is show up and say, well, let's just hopefully keep it close. This team expects to win every time they take the field.
Yeah, I think we're hungry. We're hungry to do stuff that we haven't done before. We want to be in every game. We have a very talented group and a group that works really hard, and I think we've done a lot of sports psychology stuff over the summer and the off season with guys telling them we can win games, we can play teams tighter, we can be successful in our conference.
So how has that translated to recruiting? Does it allow you to be a little bit more selective in who you're looking at and the type of athlete that you're bringing in? And what do you tell them from a competitive standpoint when you're recruiting them?
Yeah, I think we're able to bring in better and better players every year. Every freshman class we've brought in has been significantly better than the previous one, and I think that's the nature of a program getting better, is having better new players. And in the recruiting, it's been great to tell them of our new expectations and show them the improvement, and for them to watch us and see a style of soccer that they want to buy into.
Do you think that also bringing in those recruits kind of forces competition amongst your players, and that's only going to make everybody better? I think there was a time, several years ago, people would just show up and get to play because you needed people to play, but now you've got to earn a spot on the field.
Yeah, I think for the first time in my tenure here, we have 2-3 players at every single position now, and that makes our training environment so much better, and it makes us a better team because we don't have to roll out with the same players. We know that guys are coming to training, and it's going to be a very competitive, high-level training session, and it's going to make us better when it comes to games. And guys have a little competition, and there's no complacency at any position.
Yeah, I always like to pick coaches' brains about what you try to do either during the off season or even in season during practices to help build that team culture, to make sure that those who maybe aren't seeing the most playing time still stay invested and feel part of that team.
Sure, we talk to our guys about everybody has roles and responsibilities on our team, and those can change from week to week, from game to game, and they have to buy into what their role is during that week. And if it's a substitute, they have a responsibility of helping their starter teammate get better during the week, and that way they're going to grow as well and become a better player. So we just make sure that everybody knows their role and sees the importance of their role, and I think that helps us maintain a good attitude at practice.
One of the things that I always struggle with soccer is the substitution rule. I mean, you don't get you get as many substitutions as you want, but each player only gets to first half come out once, second half come. Does it make it, and probably not for you, but does it make it difficult for your players knowing that, you don't have the opportunity, if you get taken out in the first half, basically you're done for that half. Now you've got to become that support person. Is that difficult for the players?
I haven't seen it. I think we've adjusted actually this week in training as everybody being the next man up, and you're going to give us a proper shift. And if you come out knowing that you're going to play again in the second half and really giving us everything you have in that first half, and you still have to stay switched on to the game, we haven't had that negative experience yet.
Well, let's talk about this 2019 season now.
Sure.
A little bit of a roller coaster start, right? You're starting 2-2, win-loss, win-loss. Take us through this first 4 games here.
Yeah, I think we've set ourselves up to play a non-conference schedule that prepares us for MIAC games, and I think in the past we maybe failed at doing that, taking an approach where we were going to win every non-conference game and not be ready for the change in competition at MIAC. So being able to play Loras, who's now nationally ranked, and Central, that's regionally ranked, prepares us for those MIAC games. And still having games in between where we can test guys, get them into matches, and get everybody a little bit of experience before conference starts.
Right.
What's been so far 4 games in, what's been the biggest pleasant surprise for you through those first 4 games?
I think our defensive abilities significantly increased from last season. I think that's what let us down last year, and we've gotten a lot better at that. And guys being a little more accountable on the defensive sides allowed us to stay in games and play teams tighter. And then we've got the attacking group that can be special at any moment, and seeing different guys come in and be special in the attack's been great.
In a few minutes, we're going to bring in one of your seniors, Robbie Sobczak, to tell us about the season. But you've got another senior, Josh Balsiger, who's really off to a red-hot start from a goal-scoring standpoint. Talk about Josh a little bit.
Yeah, it's great to see him grow and flourish year after year. I think he's got some pretty lofty goals of wanting to be a top scorer in the league, and he started off in a great start with our non-conference games, and hopefully we'll see him score in more MIAC games. But he's great for us. We know we can count on him to score goals and get into dangerous spots, and really great to see him grow as a player over the years.
You've got a great senior class, and we've mentioned 2 of them in Robbie and Josh, but that whole senior class is going to be somebody who really needs to carry this team in terms of a leadership role. What has this group done to make sure that everybody's prepared for this year?
Yeah, I think with them being now the oldest, but the youngest group when I took over, they've really bought into what I'm doing for the program and what we do as a program, so they really exemplify on a day-to-day basis what we stand for. And they've been great. They be captains, they be leaders, they be seniors of really buying into what we do and kind of spreading that to the rest of the team.
Another thing I wanted to ask is tell us about some of the newcomers that either freshmen or kind of some of the sophomores that have kind of taken that next step this year and are kind of playing key roles on this year's team.
Sure. So regular starter for us as a freshman has been Marco Hernandez, who's really slid into midfield and helped us. Somewhere where we had a big need last season, and he slid in and done a great job so far. And then the rest of our freshmen are providing a great spark off the bench, and players like Jacob Clemens and Armin Jeselnak, just some offensive players that are giving us a spark as well. And our sophomore class is almost like our veteran class this time around. They played significant minutes as freshmen, and to see them now continue to play and really be the veterans on the field and the future of our program has been great.
And the one position we haven't talked about yet, goalkeepers, 2 seniors leading the way there, Michael and Jimmy, and then you've got Sam as a freshman. Talk a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, I think it continues to be a very healthy competition between our goalkeepers, and knowing that any one of them could step up in different games, and they've all played in matches so far, and they give us different attributes each, and still trying to discover who the number 1 is, and rolling forward, see who's going to play.
And that's okay, right? To be able to have 3 of them like that. We're bringing Robbie on. Before we do, though, talk a little bit about him and what makes him special to this team.
Yeah, I think based on our culture and our core values, he's somebody that lives what we stand for on a daily basis, and helps everybody in our team and everyone on campus know about men's soccer and what we stand for. And he's been a great leader for our team for his whole career here, even as a freshman, really stepping up early into that leadership role. And it's somebody that, for us, is a clear picture of what a soccer player should look like at St. Mary's.
It seems to me, watching him play over the years, that he's one of those that you don't see a lot. I mean, he's the guy that takes the ball in the air, and if the ball's in the air, he is there. And I remember last year we literally had a tally how many times that he won those 50-50 balls. I mean, it seems like he is always in the mix, no matter where he is on the field.
Yeah, he's a great defensive presence, and I think it's what you need. He's played multiple positions for us, but it's what you need out of defenders to be that aerial threat and know that he's going to be a presence and help us and all assets of defense.
Curious to know, what's your philosophy? How much freedom do you give players like Robbie and some of your other senior leaders to help mentor some of the younger student athletes? What are your expectations of them from that standpoint?
Yeah, so we actually assign all of our upperclassmen, little brothers, incoming players or sophomores that they would mentor on a regular basis. They would talk to all summer, and they would help mentor on their time during campus. So I think they only see me so much during practice and during the year, and it's really what's going on behind the scenes that's important. And so if those new guys have a reference from an upperclassman, that really helps spread our culture.
Tell us about your assistant coaches this year. You've got Oscar Uribe and Sean Butcher joining the program.
Yeah, two guys that have been fully vested. Oscar's been with us since I started, even as an assistant, and Sean obviously I coached for 2 years. They're guys that know what we're all about, and they help, and they're positive. They're great examples for our guys. Sean is a former player, and Oscar is a member of the community. They've contributed a lot to our program in their new roles as assistants.
Does having somebody like Sean help you as a coach, because he can kind of be that understanding of the players aspect of things? You know, maybe in practice he can give you a different insight because he was actually where they were just a year ago.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a job for everybody to quickly graduate and soon be a coach for the same program where they played at, but I think Sean's an exemption to that, and he can do a great job and help me relate to the players as well, and kind of know what we're about and be a reference for guys to talk to.
One more non-conference game on Thursday before you kick off conference play on Saturday. Let's talk a little bit about the conference and what you expect from not only Gustavus on Saturday, but the conference in general.
Yeah, MIAC continues to be a super competitive conference with us sending 4 teams to the national tournament. I think that speaks great values of our conference, and knowing that every game is going to be super close and competitive and means so much to playoff implications is awesome. I think it's a great playing environment for all of us.
What's something your team is going to have to do to kind of take that next step in the conference? Is it play more physical, faster? What do you think? Improve on defense? What are some of the things you think to take that next step?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the first thing is being a little more accountable on the defensive side of the ball, especially with set pieces, and we've done taking great strides in improving on that. And we're just going to have to go and upset some teams and steal some points from teams to put us in playoff contention.
You know, I think the positive side of that is last year there were so many, close games. So where you were a bounce or two away from winning those games or tying those games. So it's just a matter of taking that next step.
Yeah, I think all of our games last season were very close. I think we're a better team than we were last year, and we hope to be on the positive side of some of those close games.
So, all right, Corbin Bowers, our head coach for men's soccer. Thanks for being on the show today. And
thanks for having me.
Good luck the rest of the season. We're going to bring in Robbie Sobczak next. He's one of the senior men's soccer players. That's coming up next on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.
In the beginning, there was dial-up. Slow as syrup dial-up. When 3 megabits arrived, it felt like riding a cyclone with your hands in the air. Until 100 megabits sent you surfing with glee on a cavernous pipeline of bits and bytes. Which brings us to 1 gig. That's 1,000 megabits per second from HBC. We're about to break the internet speed barrier. Your home deserves the fastest internet. Get gigabit internet today from HBC. Internet redefined.
Our soccer is our sound. From the rooftops to the alleyways. Our stadium. Our stomping ground. Bigger. Louder. Like nothing else. Our soccer.
MLS is on FS1. Food, shelter, fast internet. It's all we really need. Good thing HBC has the fast, reliable internet it takes to power all the Wi-Fi hungry gadgets in your home, all at once. With speeds like these, get smooth HD streaming video, gaming, music, and surfing, all with no waiting, no buffering, no kidding. You want it. You need it. Get it. Call or click hbci.com and upgrade your internet today.
See that glacier?
Yeah.
That's where we gotta go.
On Travel Channel.
Oh, incredible.
When the answers to the world's greatest mysteries
Aztec gold. John Swift hit silver all over these mountains. The Alaska Triangle.
require risking everything.
It's the end of the earth there, buddy.
The Kiefer brothers
What we live for, man.
will stop
My heart is pounding right now.
at nothing.
Can you guarantee us that we'll get through the pass today? No guarantees. Wow.
All new Code of the Wild, Tuesday at 10 on Travel Channel.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC. Men's soccer is our spotlight this week. Robbie Sobczak, one of the seniors on the team, a midfielder, joins us now. And Robbie, you're from Cloquet, Minnesota. So how in the world did you end up playing soccer when you were in the hockey mecca of Minnesota?
Yeah, that's a good question. First off, I just want to say thanks for bringing me on. I appreciate being here. But yeah, for sure. Hockey runs the world up there in northern Minnesota, especially Cloquet. And I played it for a little bit, but I think my mom really showed me how much of a great game soccer is, and I fell in love with it, and it was a great thing that I could come.
So tell us a little bit more about that. How did your mom influence you so much with that? Did she play when she?
She did play growing up. She just introduced it to me, and to be honest, she introduced me to a lot of sports. Like I played wrestling, ski jumping, football even, and I think she noticed that soccer was a game that I really loved, and I guess continued to help me grow as a player. And,
do you think those multi-sports really helped you? Because now you're a multi-sport athlete at St. Mary's. You're also on the tennis team. So do you think playing multiple sports as a youth really helped you become a college-level athlete?
Absolutely. It's just being versatile. And I think I'm just happy that I know multitude of sports. I think it can help me connect with other people just on a cultural aspect. And yeah, I'm very happy that I played a lot of sports.
And how did you get from Cloquet to Winona?
Yeah, again, I think my mom had a big impact in that. She just always said, "Hey, Winona is a great place." Always wanted me to bring me to Winona growing up, just to see the beautiful bluff country. And I think I just held out on her until it came to my college selection process, when I started looking at teams in the MIAC, and being that there was one in Winona, and kind of St. Mary's stuck out to me. So.
Well, and I always tell students, to prospective students, that if you're thinking about education, there's no better place than St. Mary's. Tell us about your major education, what you hope to do with it, and a little bit about the education program and what makes it so great at St. Mary's.
No, absolutely. I mean, that turned out to be just a blessing in disguise. Like, the education department here is absolutely incredible. I feel like all the professors, I know them on a personal level, and they're really invested in me. I can't count the amount of soccer games or tennis matches that some of my professors have showed up to, which says a lot about them caring for their students, and I guess they're really highlighting what you should do as a great teacher, right, in that education department. So it's something that they pass on to me, not only in the classroom but outside, and it's something that I'm really cherishing, and I hope to continue as a future educator based off of the great leaders.
So do you hope to teach, be an administrator in the future, maybe both? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I actually just got done talking with Coach Bowers about this, because it's my senior year, and I'm thinking about that right now. One of the education professors, Mr. Sorvak, who I know you're familiar with as well, he's been a pretty big influence in my life, and he's introduced me to the discipline of leadership, and so I want to combine teacher and education and leadership. Doesn't matter if it's in a classroom or at a company. So I'm in that process right now of seeing all my options and working towards bringing leadership and education together.
Great.
You know, you mentioned you're a senior, and you kind of went, I'm a senior. 4 years ago, you were a freshman, and you relied on the upperclassmen to kind of lead the way for you.
Yeah.
Now you are one of those upperclassmen that the younger people are looking to. How do you use your skills as a leader to help those younger people?
That's a good question. You know, I've just now realized how important good leaders are to anything, but to our soccer team especially, because we're at a critical point in our history, I would say, solely because I think it's the best team that has come out of our program in my 4 years here, and I think if not in a long time, and I think good leadership is going to help us take us to the next step. So,
yeah, when you're out there and you see all of that talent, you know, what sort of goals do you have as a team this year that maybe you've set with Coach Bowers, or maybe just individually? What do you think this team is capable of?
Yeah, I was thinking about that before you brought me on. So I think just an insider's piece on just our team. I think we've said to ourselves that, you know, Coach Bowers, he's our guide. He's gonna give us the tools for success. But at the end of the day, we as a team, we're gonna go out there and get it done. And we've really tried to live into some of our core values, and accountability is one of them. And I think the team all around knows that we've got the talent, and it's different for sure. We've put the work in. Everything is different than other years. I think it's just a little bit of belief that we need at this rate. And I think stealing some points in those first couple conference games is really going to spark it for us.
You know, I think that soccer, more so than probably any sport, can be one of those that can just rip your heart out.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the Central game that you guys played, and you know, you lose 1-0, and that, I mean, it's one, you know, one player, one thing that can happen that can change a 1-0 loss to a 1-0 win. How do you make sure to stay on the even keel when, you know, adversity is going to happen? Absolutely. How do you make sure that it doesn't sink the ship, so to speak?
Absolutely. That's been something I've been challenging myself a lot, as well as our team. I mean, it's the little things that add up, such as like not getting worked up and yelling at an official, or like yelling back at coach after he gives us a constructive criticism, stuff like that. We as leaders are trying to set an example for, you know, we're going to face some adversity, and we got to be able to roll through it. And if we're able to do that and face it head on, I think we can really do some damage this year.
You know, one of the things I added to the questionnaires this year was one about a pregame ritual, and you said write in your journal before every game. Talk a little bit about this journal that you write in.
Yeah, I think I can credit a little bit of my mental side of sports to Coach TJ, the assistant baseball coach, actually. I went to a MIAC leadership conference with some of the baseball guys, and they told me about Coach TJ and all of his work to help the mental side of sports with the pitchers. And after talking with him, he got me into visualizing beforehand and really breaking down how I want to go into my games on a confidence level. And so I just sit there and write everything out beforehand, and I think it's helped me immensely.
Yeah, I think that whole sports psychology aspect really gets overlooked, doesn't it? Everybody focuses on the talent or the specific plays in a game, but just your approach leading into the game can make a big difference, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think the mental side of sports has been, like, since my sophomore year, one of my number one focuses. Like, I've always been one who can, you know, run a lot of miles to get myself prepared physically. But I'll tell you what, the MIAC is a tough conference, and you got to be prepared for stuff like adversity, like you just mentioned. And I think where I've really grown as a player is the mental side. And I'm happy that I think Coach noticed that as well, and he's done a great job of bringing that to our team. So it's not just me; it's our entire team is new when it comes to being better mentally as well. So I think that's just another piece that's going to help us out.
Now, coming from the high school in northern Minnesota and the conference you played in there, now in the MIAC, what was the biggest adjustment? Did you ever have one of those kind of wake-up moments that said, oh boy, this is a whole different level of soccer now?
Oh, geez. I think Coach Corbin can still laugh about it. My first game, it was like a scrimmage. You know, it wasn't even our first regular season game, and I feel like I was a deer in headlights. You know, like I was for sure the player to be in that position, but I was just too nervous. You know, and I think it takes everyone to experience a year in our conference to really feel comfortable. And I think every freshman's going to get battered around a little bit, and I experienced that. And now I'm in a position now where I can help out younger players and say, I've been there. You're going to get battered around, but you're a good player and you deserve to be in that position.
I was going to say, what are some of those things that make the MIAC somewhat unique in Division III soccer, do you think?
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned Josh Balsiger recently. He's my roommate. He grew up out west, played competitive soccer in Oregon and Washington. And, it's funny talking to him about the differences growing up for him versus the MIAC and my growing up Minnesota soccer, because the MIAC is so physical. It's grit. It's grind. It's sometimes, it might not be like the cleanest of a win. It's going to be like putting your nose to the grindstone for the very 110 minutes if it goes into overtime. So I think the MIAC expects the best competitors, if you want me to be honest, and that's what I appreciate about the league. Whereas it's different, I think, when I was talking with Josh, where it's a cleaner style of soccer, but I think there's more grit, there's more true competition when it comes to the MIAC, and I think it compares really well to the English Premier League, where it doesn't matter if you're last in the conference, you can upset the top team any day just because every team is good and you're willing to get out there and grind.
Lots of questions.
Okay,
for him.
we just have 2 minutes
Oh
left.
man! Well, it's interesting. We talk soccer and we talk tennis a little bit. We, you're a dual sport, but it seems to me that your passion is downhill skiing. So talk a little bit about your because you do some trips. You go downhill skiing, and Coach Bowers probably doesn't want to hear it, but talk a little bit about your love for skiing.
That's funny that you bring that up. No, I love downhill skiing. I've gone consistently every winter time with my friends. I started out with just a group of my friends from high school, and now I've consistently gone with some of my friends from college and added to that group, and we've gotten larger and larger every winter break, and it's something so fun. I've had I think 3 members of the soccer team, a couple members of the tennis team come with me, and it's something that I think we're going to continue to do.
About 30 seconds left.
Okay, real quick. Have dinner with any pro athlete. You said Jackie Robinson.
Oh yeah.
What would you order, and then what would you talk about?
Wow. I think I'd order lasagna. I like lasagna, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Just the fact that I'm sitting there talking with Jackie Robinson. I think we talk about adversity a lot here, and he's definitely had one who's had to struggle through a lot, and I look up to him a lot for that, and I think it would be a really great conversation for me to have.
All right, Robbie Sobczak, one of our senior student athletes at St. Mary's soccer team, is our focus today, but also plays tennis and downhill skiing, which we don't have a varsity sport for, Robbie, but if we did, you might be a 3-sport athlete.
Yeah.
So, thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC TV 25.
Brand new kids, brand new challenges.
You know what that means.
A brand new season of Kids Baking Championship.
Most fun cake I've ever made.
Wow, am I excited to bite into this.
Topping your giant donut with regular donuts.
Yeah.
Those decorating skills are going to come out. Fun, right? Wow. Who will beat the competition to become Kids Baking Champion? All new Kids Baking Championship, Monday night at 9 on Food Network.
Food, shelter, fast internet. It's all we really need. Good thing HBC has the fast, reliable internet it takes to power all the Wi-Fi hungry gadgets in your home, all at once. With speeds like these, get smooth HD streaming video, gaming, music, and surfing, all with no waiting, no buffering, no kidding. You want it. You need it. Get it. Call or click hbci.com and upgrade your internet today. 90210, Wednesdays or anytime on demand or Fox Now.